Hi everybody, welcome to lesson 4. We're going to be talking about the volume of right prisms, and really what this lesson is about is how to use a whole bunch of different formulas. So I highly recommend you get your highlighters out and get ready to mark in your notes where these all powerful formulas are. So since we're talking about volume, let's chat a little bit about what volume is. Volume is the total capacity of a three-dimensional shape. It describes how much space that object occupies. So example, when you have a cup, its volume tells you how much coffee you can put in that cup. A box of Nerds, its volume tells you how many little delicious, crunchy, sweet candies can fit inside of it. Volume of a cake tells you how much cake you get to shove in your mouth. Unfortunately, we will not be talking about cake and candy and coffee. Instead, we will be talking about right prisms. Yay! But we can imagine that it's something more delicious. So right prisms are three-dimensional shapes that contain a pair of parallel bases. So in this case, what we're looking at is a rectangular prism, and our bases, here's one right here, and here's another down here. And these are parallel in that they will never touch, ever, ever, ever. Then they have lateral faces that form right angles to the base. This is why they are called right prisms. So right angles are our 90-degree angles. They are designated by these little boxes right here. So what this is saying is these lateral faces, basically every face that is not a base is called a lateral face, and they will hit that prism or those bases at right angles. And the lateral faces also tell us our height. Our height is the distance between the two bases. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. And by second, I mean right here. Okay, so the base of a three-dimensional object names its shape. So for example, here we have 3 different rectangular prisms, and they are rectangular prisms because their bases are rectangles. So a prism has 2 bases that are parallel to each other, like we just said, then they won't touch. So first, let's shade the bases of these rectangular prisms. So our bases are the rectangles on the top and the bottom. Those are our bases. And then on this little guy, there we go. And then if you want just a little more investigation, that's a lateral face. And then this length between the 2 bases, that is our height. And we could find the area of these bases. Since they are rectangles, our area would just be the length times the width of our rectangle. So if this is L and this is W, we could find the area of a base. And since they're rectangles, it would be the area of a rectangle. So our area here would be our length times our width. So to calculate the volume of a right prism, or how much space this prism takes up, first we want to calculate the area of that base, and then we will multiply the base by the height of the object. So I kind of think of it as, so if this is our base right here on the top, there's one of our bases. And you can imagine we have another one that's like, God, I'm a terrible drawer. Imagine with me. That's okay. That's pretty good. So that would be our other base down here. We can imagine that this is just like layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of bases. So our height tells us how many of those bases are in there. So the generalized formula for volume is going to be our base times the height of our figure. So put that down in here. Our volume is going to equal a base times a height. And so here, when we plug in our values, our base has dimensions of 9 times 6, right? There's our 9, and there's our 6. Okay, and that is going to be multiplied by the height of this figure. And so in this case, our height is this 4.5 right here. That's how many of these bases we have. So multiply that by 4.5. Okay, so 9 times 6 is 54. So we're going to end up with a volume of 54 times 4.5. So our end volume is 243. And then we need our units. So here we're working with centimeters. And because we now have 3 dimensions, right, we are talking about the length of a figure, the width of a figure, and the height of a figure. That means that we are working with cubic units. So this would be 243 centimeters cubed, because there are 3 dimensions here. Now we don't have to do anything with that exponent. That exponent just tells us that we are dealing with volume. So cm cubed, no math has to happen to that. It's just 243 centimeters cubed, or cubic centimeters. Another kind of prism we'll be talking about today are triangular prisms. So a triangular prism was going to use the exact same formula as a rectangular prism, where we're going to have our volume is equal to our base, or the area of our base, times our height. And the base of triangular prisms are, drum roll please, they are triangles. Remember, prisms are named after the shape of their base. So a triangular prism has a base that is a triangle. Huzzah! I wanted to give you guys a little bit practice of finding the area of a triangle. So area of a triangle is the base of that triangle times the height of that triangle divided by 2. Or, sorry, that's a funny looking R. Area is 1/2 of your base times height. Now this can be confusing because volume is also base times height. So when we're working with triangular prisms, it's going to be really important to differentiate. Are you talking about the area of that face, or that base of the prism? Or are you talking about the base of the base? I know, it's a lot. But let's color code this and make some sense of it. So when we're talking about just finding the area of that triangle, not the volume of the prism, the base is the bottom of our triangle, and the height is the distance from that base at a right angle. Again, we are talking about those 90-degree angles to the vertex of that triangle. Okay, so these numbers right here, they don't even really matter when we're looking for the area of a triangle. They'll often be given, but you don't need them when we're talking about area of a triangle. So here, the area of this base is 1/2 of 18 times 7. Or your area is 1/2 of 126. So our area is 63. And because we are working in units of inches, and we are talking about 2 dimensions, those are inches squared. So our answer here would be 63 inches squared for that area of this base. Okay, so let's talk about the prisms now. So I want you to shade the base of each figure below, and then highlight the height of the figure and the height of the triangular base. So this is going to be a little tricky. Let's designate our colors. I'm going to have the base of the figure be blue. So here they are. They are, again, they are the triangles. Since these are called triangular prisms, the bases are triangles. So there's one of them. Here's another one. And we're going to need two different colors, one for the height of the base and one for the height of the figure. So I'm going to call the height of my figure red. And again, when we're talking about height of a figure, that is the distance between the two bases. Let me write that down real quick. So here, the height of this figure is right here. I'll call that red H. And the height of this figure, the distance between these two bases, is right there. Okay, and then I'm going to do green for the height of my triangular base. So when we're talking about height of a triangular base, again, that is from the bottom of our triangle, the distance from the bottom of our triangle to the highest point. So that is a different height. That would be the height of my triangle. Okay. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. It gets tricky when we're finding volume. Let's try one. So first, in order to find the volume of our triangular prism, again, we are going to be using our formula. V is equal to the area of our base times the height of that figure. So first, we're going to want to calculate the area of that base. So since area is equal to 1/2 of the base of our triangle times the height of our triangle, here, the base of our triangle is 4 feet, and the height of our triangle is 3.5 feet. So our area is 1/2 of 4 times 3.5, or area is 7, and we're talking about feet. So 7 square feet is the area of that base. And so then we're going to use our volume formula. So volume is base times height. So now we can say that volume is going to be 7 because that is the base. Let me color code that for us. So we'll call the base 7 now. So this whole face right here is 7. And then the height of this figure is the distance from one base to another. And so the height here is actually also 7. Okay, so 7 times 7 means that our total volume is 49 cubic feet. So there is our answer. This triangular prism has a volume of 49 cubic feet. All right, good luck with your journal problems. Please let me know how I can help you. Just look at your formulas, plug stuff in. You're awesome. Thank you.